we're here today to be able to explore some ideas regarding culture and how college students respond to cultural demands, cultural expectations, and that is a significant stress feature for them within their lives. And so some former students and some current students decided to share with me a little bit of what their experiences were, specifically on other cultures, other ethnicities, what they experienced and what the impact was for them regarding stress levels as college students. So I think probably one of the first ones, why don't you tell us what you managed to experience? You had a huge cultural deficit initially when you came here.
So I moved here in 2007, and just the language barrier was the first thing that was so hard. I couldn't speak English well, I couldn't understand people, I thought they spoke too fast. So it took me a while to get used to the language, and just the culture in general too. Like it's different, because back home where I'm from, we have totally different cultures. We do different things than here. Yeah, it took me a while.
What culture did you come from?
I'm from Lebanon.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it took me a while to get used to the people and making friends and all that, getting along with everybody.
Okay. Did you share, because you also had a slightly different cultural experience. Was yours similar, though?
Yeah, it was pretty similar. That I went to Germany, and I went during pretty like a cold season when I first arrived, and actually coming from California where everybody's super nice and open and friendly, and you could talk to some random stranger if you need help. There,
Yeah.
I was confused with the transportation. I didn't speak the language well enough. I did speak a little, but that didn't get me anywhere. And then pretty soon I felt like everybody was really mean when it was just their culture. In a way, they were just more direct, and they didn't want to waste their time with somebody they didn't know. So at first it was really frustrating, and I felt like I wasn't gonna make friends. And then I got more support, made some really good friends, and then stuck with them, and then that's how I made it through. And actually now I love the country, so I learned to understand it, I guess.
How long was the adjustment period for you, would you say?
I'd say the first month I hated it. I hated it for
Yeah.
a full first month. I did not feel good. I wanted to go home. And then about like 2 to 3 months in, I started speaking a little bit better, and I started like really emphasizing that I wanted to like the culture, and that I wanted to just not have to think about going home, just think that I could just go through and just spend every day trying to get better at it. It made it easier, so that was definitely.
And you
the first.
adjusted, yeah.
And then I adjusted, and it, like, I think there's this trend that I saw. It goes up at first because you're excited, then you just drop, and then slowly but surely you just went right back up to like really loving it. So
You had to extend yourself a little bit in order to actually get through this whole process. I mean, you had to test yourself a little bit.
I was alone for most of it, so
Yeah,
I didn't go
that's
with
a big
friends
issue.
or family or anything, and I met
Yeah.
all the people that I knew there. So it was really not having that support and not having great contact with your family was the only thing I could rely on, and then trying to make like new friends in addition to a new environment. And it was cold, so.
On top of it,
Yeah.
a totally different environment. Now, compared to what he had with no friends and that kind of thing, now you had family here, so now tell us your experience.
Well, I moved here 7 years ago with my whole family, so.
That's fairly recent.
Yeah, it's fairly recent. At some point, well, we have more family here. Like my dad has an uncle here, so he kind of helped us out with the house, finding us a house, apartment to live in, because we didn't know anything about it. We had our own house back there, so it was very different.
And where were you from then, too, so we can get from
Guatemala. It's in Central
Guatemala.
America.
Okay, very good. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead now.
And we didn't know how to get a house or any of that, or be the contracts and all the kind of stuff that you have to do and have background. And also for me it was really difficult to get into the school system because it's very different, the school system here and in Guatemala. It's like we have a schedule, they give you a schedule for the whole classes, and you don't have to go and pick your classes, they give you which classes you need.
Oh, no
each
choices.
period. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
very different. So it was like really struggle to do that, and it's per class and not per units. So
How
it's
long did
really-
it take you to make the language adjustment?
Well, I already knew a little bit, so I could like understand a little bit. But yeah, like I said, it's really hard to try to understand people. And then I was like, what? It took me like two to 3 years to be able to actually understand people and try to communicate.
Do you think your experiences as a woman were different than the guys, or?
I don't know. Probably because I don't know.
Maybe the same, not so much.
Probably the same.
Okay, all right. Well, as a woman, would you anticipate? I don't know. Would you think could you do what he did, like go by yourself and no family?
Absolutely not. No,
Yeah.
I could never see myself leaving the country without my family
Mm-hmm.
and knowing no one and going somewhere completely different. I would feel
Yeah.
kind of like I would be in danger, kind of
Yeah,
insecure. for
a
sure.
little bit. Well, I could
Right.
understand that too. And you had your family. Could you go to
No.
like he did?
No.
Couldn't do that.
Difficult to do that.
You see, that's what I meant about he extended himself. You think you could do that?
I feel like if it was something for education purposes or something where I knew that I would be in a safe environment and, you know, at least having some sort of safety net as housing or schooling, something, I feel like I would be able to
Yeah.
maybe adjust. Also because my
Yeah.
family is from Germany, so, I mean, my grandmother, so
So you'd be willing to give it a shot?
I think I would be willing to give it a shot, yeah.
Okay, must be that risk-taking personality, right?
Yeah.
Well, and you too. You had what was the reason why you came here? I
finished
know you
high
told
school
me.
and I moved here to start college, so.
So it was really for the education.
For education.
But did you have any relatives here at
I
all?
lived with my uncle for 2 years, so I moved
Oh,
on my
okay.
own, but I didn't live alone. So my uncle lived here for 20 years, so I lived with him for 2 years.
So you had a little bit of that security of what the ladies are talking, that maybe that, is a little challenging by
it was
yourself.
also my uncle, so I'm gonna live
Yeah.
with him. It's gonna be a little bit better. But still,
Yeah.
even if it's my uncle, he was really strict on me. I wasn't comfortable living with him, especially with food because I eat a lot. So I would always feel shy whenever I want to eat and open the fridge, So.
Well, did he eat his own ethnic food? It was your uncle, or did he have American food?
No,
So,
ethnic food. But they
Oh,
have
so then-
breakfast, lunch, dinner. I have 7 meals a day.
oh, good heavens!
So
Well, see, that's what happens when you're a fitness instructor. You need
It's more
need
frequent.
all of those types of things. Well, was the food, was that a big issue with you
Yeah,
there?
at first, yeah, it was pretty intense. I didn't know where to go to eat, and I didn't know to trust like what food would be good or what food would be expensive, and so not trying to spend very much in addition to not knowing what is good, and then
Yeah.
reading it and trying to figure out what words mean. And so it was like not having a translator and then looking for something. So you would just pick something random, and sometimes that was good, but a lot of times it wasn't sometimes.
Well, how did you just take all your money there and you saved all your money and that's what
Yeah.
you spent when you were there? Or?
Yeah, well, I did a program through Fullerton, so
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like we said, like it's better when you have the structure and the promise of school, because that eventually got me to the point of getting a lot more comfortable there, and people could
Yeah.
tell me what was good and what was bad, and tell me what things to try and what things not to try. So at
Yeah.
first, that first month though, I was just guessing, and I had to find places to live and then also find food to eat. So that was like the first week was
Mm.
trying to actually figure out how to survive. And so I spent a lot more in that first couple weeks because of mistakes, and then
That you made,
towards,
yeah.
and then towards the end you start learning like exactly what to do in each place. So it was
Yeah.
more of like an adaptability thing without having any knowledge, and then once you had it, it was like easy, I think.
Well, you look back at it as positive now that it's over, and so you stretched yourself, and so even though stressful at the time, that was really worthwhile, a positive experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was so stressed that I was really wanting to come home. I always looked up tickets to come home, and then eventually when I figured it out, I don't know what happened. I think I missed a flight, and that was like the last time where I was really down. And then after that, I promised myself I wouldn't like let myself get in those kinds of positions again, like overly prepare and be like ready to be, give myself the stress
Yeah.
early so I don't have to experience it like I did at that point.
So you found another way to cope with stress.
Yes.
So actually, as you extend yourself, sometimes that happens. That's that inoculation part of it that we talked about. You get small amounts of stress, and then actually that does pretty well for you because you have more experiences later on. So did you feel overall it was stressful for you? But
First couple of months were very stressful. I wanted to go back home so badly because I missed
Yeah.
everything, my relatives, my friends. So I stayed here for 4 months, and then I went there for a visit.
well, but now as you look back on it, did you do everything right? It was
I started work
This
the
is
second week
worthwhile.
after I moved here. I was
Yeah.
working full time.
Yeah.
making money and spending money on myself without taking anything from my uncle. But just the culture differences, you know, like friends and family. You've lived
Yeah.
there for 15 years,
Right.
so you miss
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But then here, there are things that are better than back home. So when I went there for a visit, then I realized like here how quiet it is, how organized, how everything. Over there, it's like a jungle. Like there's no rules, there's no nothing. There's no traffic lights. Everyone drives crazy. People cross the street while you're on the freeway. Yeah, it's crazy over there. And people are very rude. You're always fighting with people. So,
Over there?
yeah.
Oh.
Always wars going on.
Oh,
So
for
then when
heaven's
I
sake.
went back there for a visit, then I kind of missed it here, you know.
Oh, okay.
I missed the quietness. So,
so
then
that-
I moved here and started adapting.
What culture do you think if you had to do one of those, because you're a risk taker, we've decided. So what culture do you think you might like to try? I mean, there are all these educational opportunities, you know, that we
Yeah.
offer.
It's interesting that you mentioned Germany because, as I told you, my grandmother is from Germany, so I would love to take the opportunity of being able to kind of get immersed in that culture just because
Yeah.
that's in my blood, so it would be, you know.
So you'd be willing to give that a shot?
Yeah, I think so. Try
Yeah.
the food, try the strudel.
The strudel, okay, that's always a food. Well, what do you think you'd do if you what country or what culture do you think might interest you?
Well, I think about that often, and I'm also German as well, and I've
Oh,
got to
you
interact.
two can
I
go
know, it's
together then.
crazy. I've got to interact with some German exchange students
Yeah.
over the past couple weeks, and that has been so much fun. But I think for me, I would like to go to like Italy, because that's another part. I'm German, Italian, and Polish. So part of being, you know, American, we lose some of that culture somewhere in between throughout the generations, and so I'd like to get a taste of what that would really be like.
In a controlled environment, though, since you're not the risk taker.
If someone could go with me, that would be great. Like
That
a
would be
bodyguard
great.
or something. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think here when you came here? Do you look back on it as a positive experience now? It's only been 7 years for you. Is it now positive?
Yeah, it's totally
Yeah.
positive. Education was better. Everything that I couldn't have over there, I can have it here. Working, it's easier to
Yeah.
find a job than over there. You will have to have a master's or a certain kind of diploma to be able to work kind of fair and, oh, that's what it feels like. It's so
Well, are you
good.
proud of yourself then that because you really have adjusted?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm a little bit proud of myself because it's been 7 years. I'm already
Yeah.
a senior at Cal State Fullerton. So for me, it's a lot. For me, it's been
Yeah.
a lot.
how has your family adjusted, do you think?
Well, now my mom works too because that was the thing. She wouldn't work over there. She would just stay home, take care of us and food and all of that. Now we get food from like the fridge things that you get frozen and you just do it
Oh,
in
yeah.
the microwave or in the oven for a couple of
Yeah.
minutes. So now we have to get practical and no more a huge meal that we used to do.
Oh, okay. And it's been good for you. You have brothers and sisters too.
Yeah, I have 3 brothers. And
So
I'm
are they younger?
Yes, I'm the oldest.
Oh, okay. Well, you set the stage then. They kind of followed your lead on.
Yes.
Did that make you feel like more responsible for them a little bit?
Yeah. I kind of took the
Okay.
second mother role because now
Yeah.
I have to be on top of them, help my mom with their homework, help in the house. Sometimes I have
Yeah.
to make the food and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, I'm sure your mother appreciated that part of it. Good grief. And how did your father feel about? That's how. And do you think she likes the working part, or was
Yeah,
that?
she totally likes working because it
Okay.
feels more, she can do more, that she has her
Okay.
own money, that she can do, I don't know, she feels more complete, you say? She can do
Okay.
more with that.
Well, then what'd your dad think?
Well, at first it was like doubtful because we weren't used to that. We weren't used to a women working in the house or
Yeah.
she having to go to work too with my dad. They
Yeah.
go to different places, but like they have to go out and work.
Yeah.
But then since the rent is really high than it used to be in our country,
Yeah.
so it's like both of them have to work. So that's why she had to go to work, and well, he was like, well, just get used to it.
What was the difference in culture, like looking at the two gentlemen here? What was the difference in like females in that culture, like in your culture? What's the difference? A big difference you found?
Females.
Yeah, between males and females, like females in your country and then females here, because females, you know, we separate culture.
Over there, they're arrogant, I feel.
They're arrogant?
Yeah, they're arrogant. Women are
Wow.
arrogant over there. Like, if a guy wants to approach her and talk to her, she just very arrogant. Here, everybody's friendly and everybody wants to talk.
Yeah, you mentioned that. So I get you like it better here, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
You like the women better here. Okay.
Yeah.
We're happy since you're here that you're saying that. That part is good. How did you feel, difference between there and here, male-female relationships?
I think the male-female relationship over there is so much more interesting because I think that the women are very closed off, like, as well. They don't really they don't know you. They're really not interested in talking to you. And they don't like to be approached at all if you don't know them. So that's a tough thing as well. I think the men over there are actually, for whatever reason, really, really good looking. So to them, even if a guy comes up to a girl, it's like it's always going to be a really good looking guy. So, you know, you can't really set yourself apart unless you are able to really talk really well in German. So over there, it was like
You had a huge language problem.
a huge language problem, and you know, the opportunity to meet girls, it was like it's not really that possible. So usually mostly people from the surrounding cultures that came
Yeah.
to Germany would be the ones that we would hang out with, because it would be like this separate side culture from
Yeah.
the majority of Germans, I guess. So it was interesting, definitely.
Were they kind of standoffish, like the culture in general, because you were American? Was there any separate thing with that?
That's the thing, is they love Californians and Americans like so
Oh.
much, and they really just are all about it. But when it comes down to it, if some random person comes approaches them, I think it's like their uncertainty avoidance. They say, "I don't know you. I don't know who you are. Why are you talking to me?" As opposed to, "Oh God, this
Yeah.
guy's gonna hit on me." It's kind of like, "Why are you talking to me? I don't know you." So it was like, even if you would just say hi to somebody, they'd be like, "What?
Oh,
Who are
okay.
you? I don't know you." You know.
So now that's see, you're both talking about Germany now. Yeah. So does that concern you a little bit, or what do you think?
I mean, if they're good looking, that doesn't concern me now. I think that, honestly, does it seem like even the guys are unapproachable in a sense, or is it just the ladies?
Just the girls, I think.
Okay.
Actually, like every girl that I've seen gone to Germany, they love it so much because the guys are more that type A personality, I think, and they're more approaching and more like aggressive in that sense. But they also, when you say no, they go, "Okay, I understand," and they just leave. So I think the guys are much better there even than here, but the girls are just so much more hard to approach there. It was like really something I learned quickly. Because, you know, after you get rejected, I think 100 times, you realize it's not going to get much better, you know? It was pretty funny.
What do you think in your country, difference between male and female, and was that stressful for you at all?
Oh, what do you mean?
Like maybe, let's see, it was 7 years ago, so you weren't dating yet there. Were you dating in your country?
Oh, yeah, I had a boyfriend before coming here.
Did you bring your boyfriend?
No, I left him.
Oh, so that was a big stressor for you then.
Yeah.
Oh my heavens. So, and he's still there.
Yes, he's still there.
So he's distant and not part of your...
We kept being friends, but that's it. We just talk once in a while. But that's
Well, how did you find the big difference then between males and females, your country and here? Like dating and all that other kind of
Well, it's a little bit similar to what we was saying. Like, women's, we wouldn't, like, just go off and talk to men. Like, if a man approaches us, it's like, why are you talking to me? I know you. Yeah, it's
Okay.
similar
Okay.
to that because, like, we just feel threatened a little bit because, well, we don't know the guy. Why is he approaching us? So, like, we usually meet people on school for a friend. It's not like we go to party and, like, oh, this people that I don't know, I'm just going to talk to the guy and then go on a date. We don't do
So that's part of the culture,
Yeah.
really. That's the way you've been enculturated.
Yeah, it's very different.
okay.
I'm like,
Okay.
wait, you don't know the guy?
Okay.
So it's very different for me.
Did your mom have a whole lot to do with how you approach men and that kind of thing? She had a whole lot to say about it, or not so much? Could you be more independent there?
No, it's just she will just advise me what to do, what would be good or bad, or like the right thing to do, but not as like
Okay.
push me to don't talk to people or stuff like that.
Okay, okay. What else do we feel like you've listened to all of this now? Are you surprised at any when they talk about their individual culture or the male-female thing? Does any of that surprise you or scare you about?
It's really not surprising, actually, because I've understood that there's so many cultural differences, and that's one thing that's definitely fascinating to me. As far as women in other countries, though, for me, I'm very outgoing, and so if I, if I see someone that I want to talk to, I'm not shy. And when I, actually got to meet the German exchange students, I walked into one of their parties, and every single person introduced themselves to me. And so I saw the culture as very welcoming and warm. Whereas in America, if you go to an American party, people are like, they look at you like, "What are you doing here? I don't know you." And so it's all
It's the same thing you say, right?
Right. It's all a different perception, I think, and the crowd of people that you end up interacting with. Everyone, every group of people has their own personality types.
Yeah, a whole separate culture about
Right.
that. What do you feel that maybe we may have missed in our discussion here about, like, your individual countries? What should we have brought forward in that? Something else that we missed that you remember might be pertinent to the conversation here?
Like how it's different over there and here. Here it's so much easier to date and talk to you.
Well, do you think other men in your culture feel like that?
Yeah.
You think so?
A lot of
Okay.
them. Ask any Arab guy, they would say Arab women are like arrogant. If they don't know you, they automatically think you're hitting on them. Yeah.
Well, but I think part of the culture, a little bit of, protectionism and that kind of thing. Families want to protect the females, and I think that, that is part of it, and I think part of don't you think that that family is encouraging that kind of thing? And like, in your country too, like you said, your mom wants to protect you. And so she would tell you what to do and not to do. And sometimes, males might evaluate that as, a little standoffish or that kind of thing. But when you come from a protectionist approach, that might be something for survival that we need to do. So each culture, I'm sure you would agree, is a little bit different and challenging, how they view male-female relationships in different cultures. Is there anything else that we've forgotten here?
Yeah, I guess the most important thing is, like we talked about this, how, you said that we're also inviting and stuff like this, and it's every time I would make an assumption while I was over there, it would immediately get disproven, like if I were to say everybody's standoffish, and then you would meet somebody who's completely outgoing and brought you to their house or something, So I think that in every culture there's people that are really outgoing and open, and then there's always the people, but in terms of tendencies is the only thing you can actually say is genuine about it, as opposed to like defining a whole culture by some set of standards. It's impossible, because I think everybody in California is not really open or friendly, but a lot of people are. Our tendency is.
Yeah.
So,
Tell me the one thing that you found maybe a little embarrassing, or you think back on it, or you laugh about it. It would first happen when you entered these cultures. What happened? You came here and you think back and you say, "Oh, why did I do that?" But it's kind of amusing now that doesn't make any difference. Was there anything like that you can think of? Well, how about any of the three of you? You got a time to think of something. Was there something that occurred, while you were in that culture? You made a mistake in the language, or a custom, or something? Oh,
so
now you're.
Stater Brothers back then.
Yeah.
Then this Mexican guy was talking in Spanish to.
He's actually from Mexico, and he's speaking
he was
Spanish.
talking
Okay.
in Spanish
Yeah.
Then they said something like he's talking. I didn't know it was Spanish. I didn't know you're supposed to say Spanish language. I said he's talking Mexican. I thought it was Mexican.
You said it to him? You said it to him.
The cashier, like, what is he talking Mexican?
Oh, because you were actually
It's
asking
supposed
what
to be Spanish,
language,
so
but
I
you
thought
didn't
I was
realize.
offending him, so.
But he got angry.
Yeah,
He got
he
angry.
did.
Yeah, he did get offended on that. But you honestly, you made an honest mistake. You truly didn't understand that. Okay. Well, can you think of something?
No, I'm trying to think of something right now. I guess I used to be really patriotic, I guess. I didn't think I was patriotic at all, but I thought that really, like, America was the best at a lot of things until I quickly realized in every single one of my classes that there are so many things that we don't do as well as them, and so many things we do better than them.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't we finish up the conversation then? We've shared some interesting ideas on this and differences in opinion, and certainly highlighted certain stressors that are very important for us to consider as we go through the textbook. So I thank you very much for your time. Thank you.